Welcome to Monday. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne, aka your Mr. Monday, and this quick bit of motivation and inspiration was originally published on April 26, 2021. The original message goes as follows. If you work for a boss who is not impressed by your work, you should either improve on the quality of your work or find a new boss. You should probably find a new boss anyway. Going deeper into this message, this is one of those messages that we put out here for the grand community, larger community for the Welcome to Your Monday or just for general motivation that was born out of some basic talk I did for a long time when I was managing people in broadcasting at a radio station. And it was basically a simple command for people who were starting to be disillusioned or just flat out burnt out with what they were doing. And that statement was fairly simple. If you feel like you need to be someplace else, look for that someplace else to be. Now, the reason why it came out like that was in most cases in my broadcasting time, we were short-staffed, undermanned, underpowered, under-resourced, and a lot of times people who had big hopes and dreams on doing things in broadcasting, radio in particular, because that's most of where my focus was, and find themselves just basically being battered every single day by not being able to do sometimes the most basic things because, be honest, our bosses and most likely our corporate bosses on the big top levels weren't giving us the chance to do things or just the basic things to get things done. And being scrappy and getting it done anyway wasn't impressing anybody particularly. So this usually came down to somebody just being burnt out with what was going on, but it was basically a way of determining whether the work they were doing was worth the work and effort it put in to do it. So with this becomes a work lesson where if your boss does not really like the work you're doing, you need to evaluate if the work you're doing is really good work. If it's not good work, then you need to up your game in your work and maybe things get better. If you up your game at work or your work is already pretty good and your boss does not like it, just impressed by it, then you should find some other place to be where you will be more appreciated. This turns to a in general type of process when you think about anything, relationships. If your boss or the person you're in a relationship with, whether we're talking about like an actual spousal type relationship or just friendships, even casual ones, if they aren't all that keen on the things you're doing, then you should find new bosses or up your game. If you are literally in a marriage type of relationship, and you're finding that you're having just issues going to loggerheads with your spouse because of either minor things or maybe major things, you need to evaluate that relationship. Something like that where you're actually married, you're in a real contract with someone, and I see marriage as the lovey thing and the contract gets really messy when you break up on those cases. So you need to make sure that you're actually doing what you should be doing or they're doing what they should be doing before you think about breaking away and moving on. But if it's something more casual or something that doesn't require, a license to be a part of something, then you are free to not hang out, not be bossed around by, or not be the boss of someone going forward. If it's something that's a bit more complicated, like a family relationship, and you and someone in your family are not seeing things eye to eye or can't agree to disagree on anything, then you have the right to find a new boss, or not so much find a new family, but not be a part of the family things going on there. Now, remember, family is a sort of a weird thing to say because the family you choose or chooses you can be sometimes much stronger than the family, the blood bonds that you have. Blood is always something that's extremely thick, but we know plenty of times that people get estranged from actual family for good reason and bad, and just decide to deal with the folks that are more like them out in the world. So from a actual working standpoint, if you're working for someone and they're not really impressed by your work, then you have some right at some point in time, contracts or whatever, to move on with someplace else. If they're offering you the best deal possible and you want to suck it up and deal with it, that's your choice. But if your boss is not impressed by your work, you should probably find a new boss. And if there's any sort of tension at all, you should probably find a way to find a new boss, a new group anyway, because tension isn't worth it. Now, if this is something deeper, like a relationship or a family thing, it gets more complicated. but the same things apply. You can back away from any group of people that you want to and be sustained by other people in the process. You just have to find the right people, the right working place, the right bosses to help take care of you. This is not an easy thing to do when it's talking outside the world of work, because there are other jobs out there, but you may not have another mother, father, brother, sister to deal with. And when they are really gone, that's a whole nother level on its own. But if you're not getting along, they're not liking what you're doing, and you can sustain your own self, then you can find some other people to help you sustain yourself. If the people who you suspect should be helping you out, i.e. family and longtime friends, just aren't living up to that level. In the end, it's about you and your standing in the world. If you're doing great stuff for the world and you're feeling fine and you're not hurting anybody, it's all good. If you're doing great stuff for the company is gaining benefits from you being there, and you are thriving and you are doing great inside a company, that is great. But if somebody is giving you a little bit of static, either in your work life or your home life, it may be a hard decision to leave, but you always have the right to leave. If you work for a boss who is not impressed by your work, you should either improve on the quality of your work or find a new boss. You should probably find a new boss anyway. This original message was published on April 26, 2021 from Welcome to Your Monday. For more messages like this one, plus books, merchandise, and other information related to this project, visit the website, welcometoyourmonday.com.